This is the end of the line for you, Baxter. You can't pretend you're only wearing black and white to be formal, or to look like a staff member. This is a personal stylistic choice. Baxter covered his mouth and momentarily tried to turn away. He instantly failed to hide his own amusement. Oh, fine. I confess, I haven't grown out of the aesthetic as much as I claim. The black and white remains my preferred color scheme. And all my pajamas are these colors, so you're bound to put the puzzle pieces together. Your cheeks began to ache from the splitting grin, and Baxter crossed his arms, but his expression remained fond. I only wish to indulge in my habits in a private matter. You weren't very good at the private part. Baxter's mouth opened, but his phone buzzed before he could speak. You still have work to do? It shouldn't be. Then Baxter reached over the counter and checked. His playfulness quickly vanished, and his smile strained. Regrettably, no, not work. This should be significantly more painful. His voice fell to a hushed whisper, and then he reached for the phone. Hello, Xavier. He muttered the name like his own personal arch-nemesis. You recognized him immediately. Xavier was the baker, and Baxter's work acquaintance, who considered him a friend regardless. That put the reason for the night call, and Baxter's words into a much better context. Baxter lightly tapped the screen and set the phone on the speaker.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry to call late. I wanted to check in on how the wedding went. And you. Now that's done. Are you holding up alright? Baxter's gaze landed on you. The day you met Xavier, Baxter was still trying to push you away. As quickly and professionally as he could. It was incredible how everything had changed.
How wonderful.
That's so considerate. Yes, I would say I'm doing quite well. Wow, you're such a sweetheart. Thank you. Wait. Baxter, who is the... Xavier cut themselves off mid-sentence. Baxter, meanwhile, leaned against the side of the counter, and his smile twisted in amusement. He didn't appear to be willing to clarify the conversation anytime soon. Callie, right? That's who you are? Bingo, you got it. Yes, I thought so. I certainly thought so. Hi, Callie. The tone in Xavier's voice shifted smugly. You watched the small crease form in Baxter's brow. So, Callie's still in your presence, Baxter. Yes, they are. Even though the wedding is finished? Yes. Well, Xavier huffed confidently, as if their designs had all gone to plan, despite them not having any part of it.
That's incredible.
That's lovely. I'm truly happy to hear that, Baxter.
Of course.
I'm sure you are. I also invited Kelly to stay at my apartment for the remainder of their trip.
They're rooming at your apartment?
They're rooming at your apartment? Didn't you swear up and down that you are, I quote, never going to associate with them after the wedding? Baxter made your eyes for a split second, and found himself staring at the ceiling. He tapped at the counter, smiling wryly. Yes, in both matters. I do not understand what's going on with you two. Neither you nor Baxter knew what to say next. Xavier's plain words hung in the air until they let you both off the hook.
So?
We should get back together. We should get together before Callie leaves. You didn't mention that before. I know. I meant it then, and I mean it now. And Baxter sighed quietly and brushed his hand through his hair. Things never went his interpersonal relationship-wise. Things never really went his way interpersonal relationship-wise. Does tomorrow work? We can grab some coffee. Baxter hesitated and checked your face for an answer. He moved to speak, but he remembered he was supposed to be good at managing people. Please hold. He automatically used his customer service voice and clicked the screen, putting the call on mute, and Baxter carefully rested the phone face down. He breathed in and then slowly exhaled. Baxter wore a tired smile. I apologize. I should have anticipated that Xavier would fall through on that threat or request. I gotta go see my mom, so I was planning on doing that tomorrow. But that's not exactly a 24-hour event.
I understand.
Of course. You've been busy with wedding preparations. Tomorrow was finally a free day. Right. I haven't seen my mom since I got her, so I've been waiting for me to come home and visit. That's a wonderful plan. I can drive you to Sunset Bar in the morning, and you can spend some quality time with your parents. They must be eager to see you. Nodding, you were curious about how your day was shaping up for tomorrow. Baxter's return to the neighborhood would be a massive surprise. Don't worry. I'll stay out of your way once you're there. Perhaps I'll accept coffee with Xavier. What? I want you to come. You do? Yes. Baxter, I thought we were going to spend more time together. Baxter grew flustered in your growing frown. He ruffled his hair and caused several pieces to stick out oddly in his frustration. His mouth pressed into a fine
I
line.
swear.
I'm doing it again. It's always my first response. He straightened himself out properly before speaking to you again. In the spirit of being truthful about my feelings, even when they're not ideal, I'll admit I'm nervous to meet your parents. I'm nervous to meet your mothers again. I'm not exactly thrilled to see what would happen if I appeared in front of them. I doubt they've forgotten anything. I made a terrible first impression on them, didn't I? Alright, that's a pretty good reason to be worried. But avoiding you wasn't you anymore, right? He rubbed the back of his neck and shrugged. Baxter seemed to be relieved that you were at least able to understand one another. Odd habits die hard. So, you should come with me. They'll forgive you. So, they do dislike me. Nothing is as bad as it feels in your thoughts. My parents are sweet, and they're going to hear about the wedding anyway. You were an important part in that story. Unfortunately, those words did little to persuade Baxter, and he continued to drag his feet over this predicament. He wasn't willing to accept the invitation, but he also wasn't willing to outright reject you either. Come on, there's an entire day tomorrow. We can go visit with Xavier, and you can come with me to see my moms. A compromise, Xavier wanted me in the morning, but Xavier wanted to meet in the morning. Didn't you want to visit your moms first thing? We could ask Xavier if they would rather get a different drink in the evening. That's true. Baxter pressed a finger to his chin and carefully considered the situation. Harley tapped a digit. Yes. That worked quite nicely. I believe Xavier should accommodate that request easily. But why would we go for drinks? I wonder if that interactive play bar place can be visited as just a bar. It'd be nice to check it out after so long.
Oh.
Yes. You can attend for the drinks and the atmosphere without catching a show. Great. That's what we could do. Then, one final detail. Would you be fine seeing your mother's not too early in the morning? He knew Baxter would agree to whatever you decided, but his brown eyes begged for mercy. Don't worry. There's no rush. We can relax and leave whenever we're ready tomorrow. Baxter pressed a dramatic hand over his heart. He expressed a genuine sigh of relief. Good. It seems we have a plan. Now we need to run and by Xavier and their current schedule. He tapped the screen and returned the mute sign off. Xavier, are you still there? I am. Excellent. Thank you very much for waiting. It is fine. I imagine Callie wouldn't let you hang up on me even if you wanted to. Very funny. We just needed a moment to sort out some few pertinent details, and you're in luck. Callie does have time to see you tomorrow. However, rather than in the morning, we were thinking of meeting in the evening for drinks. There's a particular bar that we enjoyed in the past, and I think it would make a fun fit. Would that work for you? That sounds perfect.
It's settled.
It's settled. We're done. I'll text you the address and a specific time to meet after the call. You're proud of him. Baxter had well and truly changed. Okay. Kelly is lucky to have such a well-mannered personal assistant. Baxter caught your eye for a split second, and you saw there was a mischievous glint. You moved close to the phone and smirked. I'm not their assistant. I'm Kelly's boyfriend. Xavier didn't say anything. The line fell completely silent until you had a long, deep breath.
I cannot have heard that right.
I cannot have heard that right. No, I think you did. Instantly, your head fell back and you laughed deeply. You adored Baxter for exactly who he was. A charming, confident, absurdly well-spoken, and direct to the point. And Baxter delighted in amazement his words brought you. The softness in his expression only made your heart pump faster. Well then, I'll need you to explain that later. Of course.
Goodbye for today.
Kelly and I will see you tomorrow. Xavier. Goodbye. It was wonderful hearing from you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad I called you before your trip ended. Me too. I'm honestly not sure how I feel about you two spending more time together. You're thrilled. I'm certain. Bye. And so, Baxter tapped the screen to end the call. Put the phone on the counter just like that. The two of you had a full day of plans set. Well, his full force smile dimmed. For a little while, the both of you managed to be casual, as if everything was normal and nothing had ever happened, like you'd never been apart. But in the late hour, when there was nothing left of casual life distractions, the lingering unease revealed itself. I apologize for keeping you up. I don't mind. Then, would you want to talk a little longer? As sorry as I am, I don't think I've been as open as I could have been. You accepted how I was, still am in some regards, but can't fully understand it. Am I right? He was. There's no denying it. You never grasped at the reasons for the way he acted. Yeah. If you're really gonna explain, I'm not gonna stop you. Then, Baxter's attention wandered about his apartment. He slipped a hand into his pocket. Could we move this downstairs? The lobby of my building has an amenity I'm rather fond of. Interesting. This had already taken a turn for the unexpected, but if whatever it would make him feel better, you go with it. Sure. Thank you. He led you out of the apartment and down the elevator to the ground floor of the lobby. From there, you went to one corner, where a seating area surrounded a chic, modern fireplace. There was a light. That was what he was drawn to. He knew without being told. Like a moth to a flame. Here we are. After sweeping his hand over a spot, Baxter settled into a chair by the fire. He took a spot near him. The fire popped and crackled. He watched the flames, hypnotized by the way they danced. This is a humbler setting than the last fireside talk we had, isn't it? After such a long walk down memory lane, it would have been lovely to return to that mountain march together. Miranda and Terry will be taking a grand trip on my suggestion, might I add. It only seems fair we should as well. Throwing up his hands and mocked a beat, Baxter could only laugh at himself. Of course, when have I ever taken my own down advice? Well,
Never.
Don't answer. I know. It's never. Or, perhaps, never until only today. Yep, that was the correct reply. At least in this case, it's not for lack of trying, or a stubborn impulse to do the opposite of what would improve my life. It's that matter I warned you about, the charming reality of a limited, expendable income. I can't afford to flitter off on vacations whenever the mood strikes, the way my parents can, but I have a very comfortable existence. He shrugged his shoulders, sinking deeper into his seat. It's nice, if lonely. Of course, let's not pretend I have anyone to blame for that, other than myself. I ended every relationship I had with my own actions. It's the story of my life. I wanted to be liked, but I don't want to be important. I stayed over for a season. The plan at a wedding. That's the kind of role I'm comfortable in. Perhaps that's why I'm drawn to people who are wanted by everyone else. They don't need me. I can be the someone. I can be someone. I can't be the one. Why? Well, it came out instinctively, before you could stop yourself. There was no reason for him to believe that about himself. You can accept that. Baxter's arms and legs crossed as he closed his eyes in contemplation.
To be honest,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I would have been able to answer that before, even if I wanted to. Which I didn't until very recently, as you saw firsthand. I can understand. I understood where my limits were, and genuinely left it at that. But where did those signs come from? I began to reflect on it since I met you again. Seeing you made me doubt my own motivations. And I came to a conclusion somewhere along the way. I didn't know it. I knew it all along. And simply chose not to think about it for a long time. Finally, he looked at you again. His eyes were a dark pool, crystal clear, but boundless. I don't deserve to have that kind of relationship with another person. That's why. The same question came to the tip of your tongue. Why? You felt as if you were asking me that. This time, you didn't have to. Baxter answered with the unspoken plea on his own word. Baxter answered the unspoken plea on his own.
you need to understand.
I don't contribute to anything. Maybe I can impress others for a time. But how do you go beyond that? I can't say what it means to be significant as a person, to be irreplaceable. And since I don't have the answer, I certainly wasn't going to assume I'd do it by accident. The more Baxter voiced these long-hidden feelings, the quieter he spoke. Baxter whispered to the fire, as if he was all alone. What does it take to add value to someone simply just by being there? I tried, but I never knew. In my eyes, there's a world of humans living freely among one another, while every connection I create is so fragile. If I make the wrong step, I might hurt them, or be hurt myself. And if it's strained at all, it'll break entirely. Of course, I would be entirely off the mark, and everyone else might have the same struggles. What would I know, right? Baxter smacked himself nervously, recalling he had an audience.
But
It was still, it was frightening to want a deeper connection, because I couldn't do it. So, I lived on, accepting what seemed to be my reality. It was painful listening to his innermost fears and insecurities, but Baxter wasn't done reflecting. He gritted your teeth and stayed quiet. I'm old enough to have forgotten my earliest years. Everything before about 6, maybe 7, is nothing but a vague blur. What I do distinctly recall is that, as a child, I unequivocally thought I was better than other people. Those who met me were lucky that I could pick anyone I wanted as company. The onus was on everyone else to impress. If someone was boring, or maybe I didn't like the clothes they were wearing that day, I could find a new playmate easily. After all, I had the most to offer. Naturally, what I was offering was what my parents had: a big cool house, exciting outings, the best toys. It wasn't until I was 11 or so when I developed my first stable friends. They might not have been rich like me, but they had their own charms. Those ties can be replaced. Becoming attached to other people, especially those, made me realize what I believed wasn't true. He turned out his back and came up to the edge of the chair. And it was so obvious. They were wonderful. I felt things I never had before. All it took was being who they were. It didn't matter what their parents did. No fancy venue could top genuine camaraderie with their company.
Truthfully,
And for what reason? I was in the club. And I was happy. The person who was lucky to be there was me. A beautiful sparkle of sentimentality brightened his features, even more than the glow of the fireplace. I wanted my friends to feel the same towards me, to have that kind of incredible effect on another person for no reason other than that I was Baxter. Then the light went out. But I was older than all of them. As sheltered as I was, I got along better with kids not quite my own age. Mature, as always. Life changed fast then, and the years between us became more noticeable with every day. I never reached a point where I felt like I knew what I was doing before suddenly. It was as if I didn't belong with them anymore. That they didn't have time to keep me around with the differences in our schedules and priorities, and I accepted that. So, friendships ended. We stopped talking as young teens, and I haven't even seen them since I left for college in 2015. I thought they mattered to me, but when have I done anything for them? Why did I deserve to be liked and included when all I did was want that to happen and abandon them when it didn't? Now the animation, emotion, life was left in Baxter's retelling. It continued, slowly. I miss what it was like having real friends. I miss those friends I used to have. Sometimes, I wonder if they remember me. I wonder what they think of if they do remember me. I wonder what they think of me now. But, with a flick of his wrist, he wryly brushed off the admission. We're both aware it's only as a full-grown man that I learned that lesson. I've made many more mistakes than that. He hadn't given up the concept of vulnerability entirely. However, Baxter softened once more for an entirely different confession. I've also missed you over those 5 years. And Terry and Miranda and Co. That summer in Sunset Bud. But, mostly, it was you who I thought of. During that trip, I did feel wanted.
You made me feel wanted and important.
You made me feel wanted. And important. It was exciting and amazing, and it felt impossible it could last. The shine would wear off eventually, as always. I didn't want to see it happen. Or if I seemed pathetic for being attached to people I fell on a short vacation. You had your real group of friends who lived there with you already. What if you stopped responding to me after realizing that I wasn't interesting? Or why would you even assume there would be a reason to talk to me at all once it was no longer convenient? I'm aware that's not a kind way to view you, but it wasn't that you'd done something to make me believe it would happen. It's my viewpoint for every situation. You recall the night before the wedding, when Baxter admitted he'd dyed his hair. The problem on this night was very much the same thing. Baxter couldn't see his own value. It always feared others wouldn't either. It's... For the first time since he was spilling out his heart, Baxter paused. He considered the way he wanted to put his next words, and then continued. And back then, during my tourist phase, we took that brief trip to the mountains. On a hike, we passed a tree that had fallen across the stream. If you can picture that, it was as if we were on opposite sides, and I couldn't take the path to you, because it looked risky. Oh. You certainly hadn't forgotten the experience. What he said didn't line up with your memory of that day. You do know what actually happened, don't you? We walked on it together, and then we went back to the same side. You crossed the stream bravely. They're going to chuckle. Ever so slightly. That was my attempt at being poignant, personally relevant metaphor, but I'm quite impressed that you remember the details. He shook his head amused, closed eyes, and tossed both his hands up.
I understand.
I suppose that is the true story of my life. Me not understanding a thing and getting it all wrong at every turn. Then Baxter set his attention to you completely. He wasn't playing around anymore. But rather than dancing around this, I'll say it directly. Not trying to stay in touch with you is something I regret for a long time. I will always regret the days I've lost. Even now that we've reconnected.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Callie. Many times. It's been impossible to count how many. You imagined a moment like this. Baxter Ward, standing, or sitting in front of you, carrying you his real feelings. You never thought it would happen. That dream was only a dream. And yet, it was happening. You understood what he was feeling, what drove him away. Why Baxter was so Baxter. Clarity you painfully wished for had come at last.